So, War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. This is volume 3, chapter 13. So, in this chapter, it shifts its focus back to Nicholas Rostov and the army. So, Nicholas Rostov is riding on his horse, and he is on his horse in the darkness of the night, and it's a and very dark and foggy night, and and in the cover of the night, everyone is very sleepy, and this makes Rostov, who's still riding on his horse, start waking up constantly and falling back to sleep again. And while he's doing this, he ends up dreaming. So in this chapter, you get to see that Nicholas is a dreamer. So Nicholas, and in his dream, he wants to meet the emperor. Wants to meet the emperor, and he wants to devote his life to the emperor, and he wants to destroy all the bad guys in front of the emperor, so he can impress the emperor, and so Nicholas will be shown as a heroic person and become a hero. Become a hero. That's how Nicholas dreams of himself doing this, and and he has very unrealistic dreams, but this just shows his devotion to the emperor, and how much he likes it. And the that fact is that Nicholas wants to have some sort of glory, some sort of military achievement. That's military achievement, so he can also impress his family and the one he loves, and Natasha, his sister. Natasha, his sister. Natasha, his sister. And so his dreams come and go, and come and go, and then all of a sudden he's woken up by a large bang, and that bang ends up bang, and so Nicholas wants to figure out what this bang is, and he's very shocked to hear this sound, and uh, and since he's riding around the night, the shots don't really end up hitting him, but he tries to avoid it. He doesn't know where the shots will and come from, even though he sees some fires being lit. So when he sees those, he thinks that this might be an enemy camp, and the enemy camp has really weird sounds, along with some bangs, and Nicholas believes that this really is the enemy camp, and that it might be the French camp, and those weird sounds are actually the French who are speaking their language, and Nicholas thinks that this is the correct place that the enemy would be, and that uh, and the attack tomorrow will be here. Tomorrow, here, and the fact that Nicholas now knows that the enemy is here, and he leaves along with the others, and meets up with the Allied troops. When he meets up with the Allied troops, he sees Prince Dolokhov and Prince Bagration, who rides up on their horses to observe the situation. And while observing, Prince Bagration and Dolokhov are arguing, or at least they have conflicting opinions on whether the enemy is still here or the enemy has retreated. And these two, even though they have different opinions, they can't decide on each decision, since they don't really know what actually is going on. And when by the time Rostov comes to the princess, he says that the enemy is probably still there, and that he volunteers to go and check it out. So Prince Bagration probably doesn't really know exactly what he should do. So he sends Rostov, who volunteers to go and check things out. And so Rostov is given 3 soldiers to accompany him, and along with these soldiers, he comes to the exact point that he saw the fires and was shot at, and he sees it again, and this time he hears the shots being fired again, but he tries to avoid it, but nothing actually happens, and his horse is not hit at all. And then Nicholas has this thought that these shots are actually just random, and that the enemy is still here, and that and that this really is the enemy's camp. And so Nicholas and his accompanying soldiers ride back to their camp. And Nicholas Rostov reports back to Bagration that the enemy indeed is still here and has not retreated. And Prince Bagration gets the news, and he knows that the enemy is probably still there. So, but because of the darkness and the foggy night, he can't be sure. Nobody can be sure that the enemy is really there or has retreated. And the weather makes it very hard to figure out what actually is happening. And so, since Nicholas is a dreamer, and he was supposed to be set with the reserve unit, and he will be off duty, and he will have no action in battle. So Nicholas thinks that he wants to meet the emperor badly, and he wants to become the messenger, and so he wants to be one to be able to do something for the emperor. So Nicholas asks Bagration to be put in with the first squadron, and the first squadron is like is the soldier is what are the units that will be meeting meeting the Emperor Alexander. And so Nicholas wants to be part of that, and Bagration who Bagration agrees to that, and he's not quite sure what Bagration really thinks, but Bagration probably lets Rostov go on a whim, and Prince Dolokhov, obviously, who first stated that the enemy is being retreated, doesn't exactly know who Rostov is, who Nicholas Rostov is, and they just know that Nicholas Rostov is one of the Rostov family's place from Count Rostov, and he doesn't really know much, and I don't think Dolokhov probably really cares, and so he cares, and so that's that, and so then Nicholas gets his wish, and he's very excited, and wants to be the person that delivers the news to the emperor. Yeah, I think that's it. That's as how detailed I can get.